My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years. He was raised by his grandparents and has always been very close to them. Recently, his grandmother's health declined, and he planned a 3-day trip out of state to visit her. I didn't want to go because I've never had a great relationship with his grandparents, and honestly, I didn't see the point in being there. I don't like them, and they don't like me. He refused to cancel because he said it was important to him. Since I had no reason to go, I decided to plan my own trip for the same 3 days with a very close friend from work. He and I have been friends for a while, and we've always clicked. My boyfriend never really liked him. He said the guy was clingy and gave him bad vibes, but I told him many times he was overreacting. Now my boyfriend is upset that I made these plans. He says it's different because he's traveling for family, not for fun, and that I should be supporting him instead of planning a trip with another guy, someone he believes has ulterior motives. I don't see why I should sit at home doing nothing for 3 days. I even told him we could book separate hotel rooms if that made him feel better, but he was still unhappy. He's making me feel guilty for wanting to enjoy myself while he's away, but I don't think I did anything wrong. There have been issues with his friendship before. One time, my boyfriend walked in on us sitting on the couch together and got upset, saying we were too close. I laughed it off, but he was clearly bothered. Another time, he was upset about a late-night text my friend sent me, saying he missed me. There was also an incident when we were out drinking with coworkers, and my friend put his arm around me in a way my boyfriend thought was inappropriate. I brushed it off as him just being affectionate, but my boyfriend wouldn't let it go, and we had a fight about it. I don't think he distrusts me, but he is the type to be overprotective and controlling. We both got back from our trips a few days ago. The moment we saw each other, it was tense. He was already in a bad mood, and I could tell he was just waiting to start something. We ended up having a massive argument. He accused me of being disrespectful by going off with another man, even when he had emphasized his discomfort. I told him he was being way too sensitive, and that it wasn't my fault he felt insecure about my relationships with other men. He kept insisting that he didn't trust me around my friend, and that I never really considered his feelings. I don't think I did anything wrong. I deserved to enjoy myself, especially since he was off doing his own thing. Why couldn't I have a bit of fun too? He said having fun wasn't the problem, but who I was having fun with was. He said women who respected their partners wouldn't go gallivanting with other men when their boyfriend wasn't around, which made me realize he was making me out to be someone I wasn't. Long story short, my boyfriend broke up with me. He said he couldn't deal with me anymore. I told him fine, if he wanted to throw away 2 years. That was his choice. Over a harmless trip, that's his problem, not mine. My friend totally agrees with me that he's being irrational and controlling. I'm honestly not that torn up about it. If he couldn't handle his jealousy and paranoia, that's on him. I feel like I dodged a bullet because he obviously wasn't mature enough to handle a woman who is capable of making decisions on her own without a man watching over her shoulders all the time. I'm just glad I have people in my life who actually support me and don't try to hold me back. Me and my friend are platonic. We don't have any romantic feelings toward each other. My husband is doing what we once did together, and I'm devastated. I'm 31 years old, married to my husband, who is 33, for 3 years, and we share an 18-month-old daughter. I'm currently pregnant with our second child. Before anyone asks, I'll get right to it. Our relationship started off with infidelity on my part. We met at work about 5 years ago. There was a strong connection and attraction right from the start, but I was in a serious relationship at the time. For the first 6 months of our relationship, my now husband was essentially the other man. Eventually, we went on a trip on our own to explore our feelings and to see if there was something there. We realized there was indeed something there. When I got back, I broke it off immediately with my ex because it was the right thing to do. We got married a year after we officially got together, and I thought I'd found my happily ever after. I realize this might sound hypocritical now, but I'm heartbroken and scared because I discovered some messages on my husband's phone a few days ago. He left his phone charging while he was with our child. We have been having problems, especially with intimacy, since our child was born. I gained about 30 pounds during pregnancy and have managed to shed about 10 of them, but my husband is still uninterested. He keeps saying he's put off by my belly fat and keeps asking me to fix it. So when I saw his phone, a light bulb went off in my head, and I snooped. He's been messaging at least 2 other women. In one conversation, the texts are flirty, borderline emotional affair territory for sure. But the other conversation suggests they might have met up, though there's no explicit admission. My husband has also been more distant than usual with me lately, staying up late on his phone, keeping it close by at all times, and stepping out to take calls he claims are work-related. I haven't confronted him yet, partly because I'm in shock, partly because I know how this might look given our own beginnings. But that doesn't diminish how hurt I feel. We have a life together, a home, our child, and another on the way. I love him more than anything. Despite his disparaging remarks about my body, he's a good father and a good provider. I just don't understand how he could do this to me, to us. Now I'm terrified that everything is unraveling. I'm feeling absolutely restless and betrayed that he'd do this while I'm pregnant with our second baby. I guess what I'm asking is, how do I handle this? Do I calmly confront him with what I know? Do I gather more evidence first? How do I protect myself and my children if this really is the beginning of the end? I'm sorry if this comes across as disjointed. I'm still reeling. Any advice or support would mean the world to me right now. I'm not going to justify my cheating, but the circumstances under which it happened kind of do justify it. My ex was an insanely insecure, jealous, and controlling person, and I guess I sort of buckled under pressure and found an out in my husband. I confronted my soon-to-be ex-husband about the messages and his possible affair. At first, he tried to deflect, saying I'm hormonal, paranoid, and insecure, but I refused to drop the subject. In the end, he admitted he'd been talking to a woman for months and claimed they'd fallen in love. She lives in another state and has flown in twice to visit him. He told me he no longer wants to be married and is planning to move out of state to be with her. I'm devastated. I'm still pregnant, due in just a few weeks, and I have our toddler to care for all on my own. He's made it clear he's not interested in staying involved in the children's lives. At least, he says he cannot think of that right now. It's like he's just wiping his hands clean of our entire family. I feel so alone and overwhelmed, knowing I'll be giving birth without any support from him. On top of all that, I'm going to have to move out of our apartment. He stated he won't be contributing to rent after this month, since he has to get his affairs in order for move. Financially, I can't afford it on my own, and he isn't offering any real help, saying he needs every last penny for his big move. I'm trying to figure out the legal side of things, child support, custody issues, but I'm terrified about how long it might take to get everything settled. For all the mistakes I've made in the past, I never imagined ending up here, pregnant, abandoned, and scrambling to figure out how to keep a roof over my children's heads. Everything feels so dark right now. I'm trying to focus on the practical steps, finding a more affordable place, meeting with a lawyer, and trying to reconnect with a family I lost 5 years ago. It's all happening so fast, and I'm just